My guest today is someone who lives life bold and beautifully, and actually our daughters are best friends,
Besties.
which made us friends, I guess, by default, because they met and they were literally organizing play dates. And we just had to apparently organize play dates for our girls. And then when we connected, I was like, oh, I really like you. Like, I see why our daughters connected. So
Right.
without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Martina Adelakun.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
I'm so excited to just chat with you.
Yes.
We always are kikiing on a very personal level, just because I think we're very like-minded.
Right.
We have a lot of the same family upbringing, culturally, how we are with our families. And I just saw that with just how you are with your daughter and how I am with mine. And then they connect and they have like similar values and morals, and we're just trying to raise good little wholesome
energy.
energy. We're just trying to raise good wholesome little girls,
Right.
And it's always good to connect with someone that has the parenting thing, because everybody has their own way of parenting, but we have it in a way that, you know, if you check Ivory or if I check Amelia, it's kind of like we both can like, it's fine, because we know that our intention is for the greater good of them.
Absolutely.
And not like, oh, you get on my child, you know, like that concept of parenting.
Right.
So thank you for being here and for being open to just chatting with me.
Yes.
So before we get started, I always like to ask, you know, once Amelia's in the bed and your husband is upstairs in the upstairs loft, hanging out, watching a game, and you get a second to just like, debrief. What did you bring for me today to try, and how do you unwind at the end of the night?
So I love like a sweet red. So I brought a sweet red. I'm not gonna lie, I like any type of sweet red, to be honest. I don't have a favorite, but I believe this is Riscato. So I just love any type of sweet red. So I'll have a glass of wine and put on some music, some chill music, maybe a movie, but always gotta have my sweet red.
Okay, well, let me taste it. Let's go ahead and cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. Yes. It's a good sweet red. See, I'm more of like a red blend.
Okay.
So I go a little bit bitter, but this one doesn't taste so sweet.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like a Moscato, right? Like too sweet for me, but I think
that's a good balance
between
like the blends that I like and then the sweetness. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was you are a mom to a 7-year-old. You are also a clinical researcher.
Yes.
Like, she is brains and beauty right here. She is a wife. She is a daughter. You have a beautiful big family that I met recently.
Yes.
Your mom is very involved with all of you guys. You have a lot of siblings that come and help. How was your upbringing? How was your life? And then especially now trying to create that life for Amelia, because
my own
she's
little family,
she's one child
with
a lot of energy.
Right.
But you had a good structure of multiple people to lean on.
I
So
did.
how was your upbringing? And tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm actually of Nigerian background, as you know, and my upbringing was kind of like, what is that word? It was like very
Rigid or structured?
It's structured. Yeah, I would say structured, because my parents came from Africa. They came to America, obviously, to live a better life. And they were very zero tolerance kind of parents, but also, a good balance of like loving and a fun structure. I'm one of 4 siblings, so I'm the middle sister. I have an older brother, an older sister, and then a younger sister. So we grew up close. We're still very, very close, as I'm sure you know. But I had a great upbringing. I won't lie. It was very, based off of education, but I would say it's something I try to implement in my life now with Amelia. Like, I take education very seriously, but we're going to have fun too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was balanced, but it was structured in the sense that,
No
nonsense.
Yeah, we didn't travel all this way to embarrass us.
Okay.
You're not gonna embarrass, especially our
absolutely.
international immigrant parents. Like, you're not gonna embarrass me. We just
sure.
did all of this for you to be where you are today,
Yeah,
right? Like for
and
you to have the successes you have today. I know
Right.
I know your mom looks back and like, I did it. Like I got y'all here at least.
Yeah, and honestly, I appreciate it. I feel
Yeah.
like, when I couldn't go out when we were younger sometimes, when people would just go out, do things, maybe that's the movies or whatever, they're like, you're going to do this homework first, or you're going to do this first. And sometimes my father would give us extra homework assignments. He was very, Nigerian, strict lawyer father, so you can imagine. But I feel like it really did shape who I am today as a mother, even as a wife. My husband has actually a very similar background as well, as far as structured African home too. So that's what Amelia has to deal with.
Yeah. And so with Amelia and you guys possibly thinking about expanding your family and maybe giving her a similar upbringing with, siblings, and you being able to rely on people that can be going through the similar experience. Where are you in that journey of probably, she's 7, and so I know that we have talked about what that looks like for you, because you might be okay with just having her, but then your husband might want another. How do you feel like that's going to play into like how your upbringing was and her not possibly having that if you decide your way?
Right. I'm not going to lie. I feel guilty if I don't give her an additional, give her a sibling, right? I'm super close to my siblings. Like, we're on the phone all the time.
I know.
Texting.
They come and
help. They come to Georgia to help.
You guys all literally go and help to each other.
Yeah, to each other. So I personally feel like the pressure is on. Okay?
So how does that feel? Like, do you feel like as yourself, like, do you feel like you're going to be losing yourself, or do you feel...
I don't think, I think I have 7 years ago, who I was when I first had Amelia is definitely different than who I am today. So I think I have the resources. I definitely have a better mental space than I did before. I think I would be okay. I can definitely see myself wanting to have additional children, but then seeing if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen as well, right? I think it's pressure too, because she really wants siblings. Amelia's at the stage where she's like, oh, I don't want anything for Christmas. I want a sister. I'm like, oh, okay.
Get on it.
Yeah, she's like, today.
Because if you start today, you could probably have her by December 25th.
Right, at this point, and she's ready. So I definitely think I think I'll be okay either way.
Okay.
But I do want her to have siblings to depend on and be close to. My husband's very close to his siblings as well.
Right.
So I definitely feel like it's a possibility. We'll see. It's a possibility. We'll see what happens.
And to speak on that, I mean, Amelia, when you and Amelia met your husband, he is not her biological father,
right?
But he took her in so early on that that's her dad. As a woman who has just had a baby, and you had a baby with someone that you just thought that was going to be your life and who that person was going to be, and then they show you who they are. Right? Because that's always like the biggest thing is like, I think it's like baby showers and funerals are the two places where people will show their true colors. And you'd be like, oh, I didn't know.
Good to know.
I didn't noted. I did not know that. I've been with you this long, but I did not gather that you were this way.
Right.
How was that for you to experience love after being a mom and new to the motherhood journey?
Super new, actually.
And meeting him and him saying, no, like, I like you and it's okay. Like, how was that?
I would say people, I get a lot of people who ask that, like, how did love find you? Or how did you find love? But love found me, in the sense that I didn't expect to meet my husband, my now husband, the way I did. And it was so organic. And, even his relationship today with Amelia, like, that's his baby girl. And that's her daddy, And it was definitely all God. Like, I really feel like I can't take much credit at all. I really did nothing but just
you were Martina, and you put your best face forward, and then he saw that.
Yeah, and I think, I just didn't have too many expectations of, like, being in a relationship, especially because I'm focused on this brand new baby. Like, like, who's
How many months was she when
she was literally like 11 months, or she might have actually been just turned a year when I feel like we met.
Okay.
And I feel like it's back in the day at this point, but I want to say probably a year. And, it really was just not something that I expected. It kind of swept me off my feet because I'm still getting used to being a mother. And, a year goes,
So
their
fast.
first year of life is like, when did that happen?
It blinks.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and then I meet this guy at a concert, and my husband is he's opposite of me. I'm an extrovert. He's so quiet and such.
It just seems like that's the running theme for a lot of us wives. We're like, the husband.
And they're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, we meet at a concert, and it's like from day one till now, like speaking every day, together all the time. And it just happened. And honestly, I'm super grateful for my journey of motherhood and, of course, transitioning into be a wife and, maybe into a mother of another one. You never know.
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll see.
And then, in like our cultures, it's kind of frowned upon
For sure.
to date someone that already has
a
an
kid.
Existing child.
Of course.
How was that culturally to be like you're the one on the other end of his family seeing you and like her, like she got a baby, like what's gonna happen?
Baby.
Yeah, a baby.
Right. Truly.
How was that for you emotionally, and how was that for him? Because you love who you love.
Yeah. For sure.
You can't change that, and she's your package deal.
Yeah.
So how did that affect him to be like, did he have any doubts of like moving forward with you?
Yeah, I want to say honestly, one thing from day one, I feel like he had my back. I think that goes a long way. So I actually felt, I didn't look for love. It found me. So I was definitely not like embarrassed to be a single mom, a young single mom at that. I was in my career. I was doing actually very well for myself. So I was never going to let someone, especially in the Nigerian culture, I was never going to let anyone like diminish me or, just kind of like minimize who I am because I had a child, right? Things happen all the time. And I wanted to make sure I was not only a good mom, but I wanted to be a present mom. So if I was going to find, if someone, my husband now, I was very mindful of how he was with her and how he was with me. And like I said, he had my back. He had my back with people who were maybe naysayers. I think like he doesn't even probably tell me all the things that he probably went through and had. But his family actually, they didn't minimize me at all.
Good.
When they met me and they saw how I was with Amelia and how I was as a mother, how I was as a career woman already.
Yeah,
I've been in my career. And I'm doing it very well.
Absolutely.
So, they saw that, okay, she has it going on for herself, and they didn't make me feel, they just didn't like dim my light, and I really appreciated that. It was they were a great family from day one, so they were open to to
and
Amelia.
you don't really see that a lot because a lot of times you hear the opposite, right?
Yes,
You're like,
unfortunately,
they made me feel this way, and then you're going through postpartum woes too. You're trying to figure out what's going on with your body. There's research that says that some women can go through postpartum 3-4 years after they've had a baby. It's not no longer like just the 1 year. It's like 2-3 years. Our emotions and our hormones are trying to balance out. So for you to be able to balance having a baby, love finding you, and then having to ensure that you're accepted into a family, and they were accepting of you.
Right.
Thankfully, all of those things happen so organically that while you're going through your own like stuff internally, you can balance that part of it all.
Yeah, and it was a balance because I did have postpartum. I wouldn't say I'm in that group that had it for 3 years or 4 years, but I mean the first year of, maybe even, I don't know, maybe I would say probably the first solid 10 months because I was in a tumultuous situation, and that was having me question who I was as a woman and even as a mom, and I'm having these thoughts, right, that are something I'm not used to. So it was a balancing act, but motherhood still is, right? So it was definitely a balancing act, but I'm definitely grateful for my journey and everything that's happened because it's been great, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a great journey.
What do you think people don't know about postpartum? Like if a girl was pregnant right now and then everybody thinks it's just like, oh, the newborn baby and the fresh smell and the cooing and everything is so cute.
Right.
And everybody wants this little baby and they are just there. And
right.
What would you tell like someone about postpartum that's like, obviously not to like kill their dreams. It is a beautiful thing.
It is.
But what is the real part of postpartum? Like what is it that you...
You know, I would tell them it's okay to not be okay. Because when I had postpartum, there was a couple of different events that I was experiencing that I didn't actually know it was postpartum right away. I thought it was like, oh, this is just the new mother woes. This is,
Like
you know,
what?
this.
What was it?
So, like, crying every day for hours at a time.
Oh.
Extreme weight loss. And, you know, they say snap back, but that was actually because I had postpartum. I didn't even want to eat. And then for me, for sure, I would have just thoughts that I wasn't used to, right? So like harmful thoughts of myself, of the baby. And it's like you have this beautiful new baby and you're thinking kind of like thoughts that aren't of you, I would say, right?
Not.
So
it's
I
the
would,
hormones.
yeah, for sure. And I would say, you know, like to anyone who's experiencing it or, you know, first of all, try to identify it because sometimes you just think, oh, I'm being dramatic, especially in the Nigerian culture. As a woman,
oh, you should be able to
juggle 18 kids. What do you mean, right?
Right.
And then I'm a career woman and I have a very, you know, demanding career at that. I'm a manager, right? So in clinical research, right? So I think I would tell them it's just okay to not be okay. But, you know, once you really realize it's postpartum, take control of it. You know, I was able to get out of it because I had a wonderful support system. And that was even prior to my husband, right? But, you know, family and friends who I finally was able to talk to because at first I was super embarrassed about it. Because you're like,
I could do this.
I know, like, I got this. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But you don't got this.
You don't got it.
At all. You don't. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
How did your family intervene? Like, how would you say, when you finally did open up, how did they like rally behind you?
Yeah.
Like, what were some things that they did that you were
Right.
like, oh my gosh, I remember this?
Yeah, and friends too. I would say, you know, once I kind of started to open up a bit, I didn't say, hey, everybody, I have postpartum depression. I was obviously alluding to certain things that I was experiencing. So I would have friends just like come to my house and sit with me and baby Amelia, baby Amelia. And they would just sit with me and just let me know that I'm not alone, hang out with me, bring me food, and, you know, just like be there for me. All the time. And then my family, you know, they were always checking in on me, but I noticed they would check in a little bit more, do a little bit more. One of my older sister, she actually allowed me to go on vacation when Amelia was like 8 months. And I went all the way to Thailand.
Yeah, because you love traveling.
Yeah, I
so
do.
It's like
I do.
you kind of start losing your own identity of
You
the things that you love when you
Right.
do have a child. And the whole point of motherhood is to be able to still be yourself.
Exactly.
But we don't be ourselves
No.
because we have to give so much to this
You
child.
give so
And now you're
much.
doing it alone.
Right, at that
Because
point,
at this point you haven't met your partner that you're
Right,
with today. So
right.
you're just like, what happened? Like,
Yeah,
how did we get
absolutely.
here? And it could be very daunting and scary because
Yeah.
you don't know what's ahead. You just know where you're at that moment.
Right,
And
right.
you're like yearning for who you were.
Right, you too.
Yeah.
I say you grieve who you were.
You do.
I feel like even though Amelia's 7 now, there's even still moments that I like grieve the old Martina.
Me
You know
too.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And you find yourself doing that, especially when you're going through postpartum too, because you're, you know, I mean, like I said, new life,
Yeah.
new life, you know, it's definitely a life-changing experience for sure. And I was never a person that experienced a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say mental health crisis or anything like that, but I just wasn't a person who was always like emotional, but then I'm crying every day and hours at a time. And, you know, so, and also obviously came with the situation.
And then the baby is
Yeah.
crying and you're
Right,
crying.
and
You're looking
it's
at the baby like, I don't know what to
Right,
do.
like, I don't, like,
We're like,
what
I
am I
gotta close the
saying?
door on you, like, because I don't want to do nothing that got
Right.
me on like Snap.
Yeah,
you know, because you do
absolutely.
understand those
You do.
women a lot more when you go
do.
through pregnancy and
Yes.
postpartum.
Yes, because it's very real. It's very real. And I'm just like, where did these thoughts come from? I've never been that kind of person. Why am I having these, you know, scary thoughts about this child that I'm actually grateful is here? But, you know, postpartum does that to you.
Yeah,
You
and I
experience
think
a lot.
I think grieving who you were is such a great way of putting it because as mothers, we were women. We are women
Right.
before we were mothers. And so we feel like, how do we get back to that pillar?
Right.
How do we get back to that person, but still being a mother? And then you put on the wife hat.
Yeah.
Because now it's someone completely
Depends-
different. Yeah.
And they depend
on
on
you. And at
Yes.
the end of the night, it's like, okay, the kids, okay, 30 minutes, let's sit on the couch and watch your favorite game or whatever. And like, that's another 30 more minutes to keep you from just climbing in the bed. But
Right.
you know, as a wife, you have to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so then the pillar of womanhood is like so far, because you're like, you got to get these things done.
Yeah,
And then
they take precedence over
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Right.
That's what happens. You know, you're doing everything else that you have to do, and I only have one, right? But you're still taking everything that you have to do, and then you are at the end of the stick, right?
Yeah.
You're at the end of the spectrum. You come last.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And that's the part that I wanted to kind of like dive into with
Yeah.
this, was really just talking through, like, I think we live in a world where, like, you know, everything on social media is like the highlight reels, you know, and obviously being married is a beautiful thing, and obviously having children is a beautiful thing, and I think those who really truly want it should have it.
I agree.
But it's a lot of work, and you do feel yourself feeling like losing a little bit of yourself, and I
Yes.
don't ever want people to think that the journey is just like this beautiful rainbow happy-go-lucky world.
Right.
It really truly is like just intense.
It is.
And then there's snippets that is like, oh, this is magical.
Right,
Wow.
right.
There goes the rainbow.
I know, it's a
There goes the
rollercoaster.
gold at
Right.
the end of the rainbow. Like, you're like, oh, it's a pot of gold here.
Right.
So how do you like self-care? Like, what is that once you have given yourself to being the mommy, the clinical researcher, the wife? How do you self-care? Are you still traveling? Do you still go on your trips? Do you still do something? You go buy something? Like, what's
Right.
your way of saying, like, I'm choosing Martina today or
Right.
this time?
So I love to travel.
I know.
International travel, as
Like,
you know.
for sure. Passport stamps.
Yes,
Okay?
I
Stamp,
love
stamp,
it.
stamp, stamp, stamp.
Yes, and that's actually a part of my self-care. Of course, that can't be every week, right?
I mean, but why
wish.
couldn't it be?
I wish.
We could. No.
Right, eventually, maybe. But I definitely travel internationally. I try to just pamper myself a little bit, right? Whether that's taking myself out on a date, to, a self-care date, I call it, right? So taking myself out to eat for a lunch or to going to the movies.
I love going places by
nail time.
myself.
I love that.
I
love
love
that.
myself. I love being by myself. I like loving that moment of like
Right.
solidarity.
Yes,
And
it's
then
so
you meet people at the
needed.
bar. You're like, hey.
Right,
what's
right.
up? How are you?
And you're super outgoing, so.
I am.
But
Yeah.
I like just, spending time from a Target run, just
A
little
little
things,
Starbucks.
right? It's just the little things. I think we take self-care that it has to be this huge
Huge thing.
monumental thing. It's,
Yeah.
you know what, going to Target by myself and then getting a petty. Like, I need that.
So top tier.
Yeah, I need that.
Top tier.
I love that, right?
Like, every
So-
girl out there can relate to the
yeah,
Target and getting the petty.
absolutely, absolutely. So it's just like little things that I try to do for myself and by myself,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
just things
Especially
like that.
having girls, because they always want to come along, they want to tag along, they love you,
know.
you're their
Your
best
mini
friend.
besties.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're broke. So
Right.
they're like, you're looking at them like, girl, now you want a toy out the store and I didn't bring you for this. I brought
Right.
myself here, but I
Right.
brought you because now I feel mom guilt because
Right.
I do want to bring you to the
Right.
store. Because
Right.
in one aspect, I'm like, I need to teach them how to pick produce.
Yeah.
So they got to go to the grocery store.
Right.
Like, I don't want you to be picking the wrong avocado.
Right.
There's a way to pick avocados.
Right, right.
And so all of those things you got to teach them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you do get the moment to go out on the grocery run, you're
It's
like,
so important.
you're like, do I choose them or do I choose myself? Do I choose them
right.
or do I
And
choose?
you shouldn't have to do that. That's
Yeah.
the point of those self-care days or self-care moments or whatever.
Right.
I don't have to think about anything. I'm just focused on what color I want on my nails, right?
And that is the hardest decision.
It is.
Every week.
It is.
Every 2 weeks. I'm like, what color do I want?
Right. And that's the kind of
That's
hard
the-
decisions that
that I
I
wanna
need
make.
that day, right? Not every day, right? Some
No.
days we're really, tackling motherhood and being a wife and, work.
Running the
and,
household.
Right. But, sometimes I don't want to think. I just want to go.
I know.
And just get up and go.
I literally said that last night when we went to dinner after everything that happened yesterday. I was like, he was like, where do you want to eat? And where do you want to go? And I was like, I don't want to think,
I just wanna
please.
go.
I just want to
Yeah.
go. Just you pick the place.
Right, right.
Do you want Italian? I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
just get
don't
up and
know.
go.
Just
Yeah.
tell me
I
where you want
agree.
me to be and I will be there.
Right.
So I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like if you decide to expand your family, are you worried that you will go through postpartum again? And do you feel like, no, I think that was like first time mommy was, and not that you can estimate what's going to happen. Like
Right,
you have
right.
no crystal ball to know.
Yeah.
But do you feel worried that you would go through postpartum depression again, and does that keep you from maybe trying because
Right.
of how
Yeah,
it
because
was?
that was major
was-
for me. But I will say, I think I have better knowledge of it now because it caught me completely off guard before.
You know, they just don't really believe in it.
Yeah, and I feel like my mom's an excellent mom. She, but she prepared me for what it's going to be like for delivery and
how to produce a lot of milk.
Yeah,
they have all of the milk tips.
Absolutely,
on how to
all
like
the
drink
milk
the chocolate and drink this.
Yeah, but then she didn't say anything about possibly getting postpartum depression because it's just like not I don't know if it's a huge thing in our culture that we talk about. So I think if I were to, if we do decide to extend our family, I think I would actually, now I know what to expect because I've experienced it. But I also think that, now I won't be so timid about it. I won't be embarrassed about it. I'll speak up right away once I start to experience those, those things that occurred because it's nothing to be afraid about, right? So I think...
And it's temporary.
It is, thankfully, for me. And, it was, 10, 11 months is long. Don't get me wrong. But
in the grand scheme of a child's life,
absolutely.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
It'll eventually go away with some intervention, with
Right.
family support,
Yeah,
with medication.
You have to use the resources. Like, I would definitely utilize the resources, like, right away this time, right? So I'm actually not worried about... I think I would be fine. I'm actually, if it happens, there's a possibility, right? There's hormones that come into play and things like that. But if it happens, I definitely know what to do right away. Instead of like dealing with it inside. I suffered in silence. Literally suffered in silence. One of my line sisters, we were talking about postpartum when she had her first child, and she could not believe that I had it. And I'm like, I was
so scary.
suffering in silence. It's like wearing a mask until you finally decide to say, okay, this is not normal for me. Yeah. What I'm experiencing is not normal for me.
All right. So if you had to talk to Martina from 10 years ago, what would you tell that girl? What would you like whisper in her ear? What would you like say to her? What would you want to give her advice on? Like 10 years ago, who you were.
That's so good. I feel like I would have probably shaken her up a little bit, like, girl. But
like in what way? Like,
I think,
like what would you want to tell her? Like,
I don't think I would probably allude her to anything that would happen in life because I know everything has happened because it was supposed to happen. But I do think that I would have told her, like, try not to lose yourself. I think I would have told her, like, everything's going to be okay. Of course, I would have given her positive affirmations, but I would have told her, like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Like, be prepared. Maybe I would have said prepare yourself. Because at times I feel like life was like, or motherhood or, my situation, I feel like it was like a war zone sometimes, right? And I just would like self-doubt, self-pity, and just, but I think I would just speak positive words of affirmation to her and just say, like, it's about to go down, but it's gonna be okay.
It'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Like, just prepare yourself. It's gonna happen. Things are gonna happen, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think she will appreciate that.
Yeah, I wouldn't allude any specific tips.
Yeah, because you can't. Yeah, you gotta let her go through the journey to get to where you're at today.
Yeah, go through it.
But that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for being here.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
Love you.
And I know that during this journey of you and your self-discovery and possibly expanding your family, I'm going to be right here cheering you on.
Because I'm going to need your help.
I need your help. She's like, girl, I'll take all 3 kids.
Oh, yeah. I love your kiddos.
Yes. You bond with my middle child.
Yes,
because you
that's
guys,
my little bestie.
I know, y'all have your middle child togetherness, similarities.
Yes.
So I just want you to know that you're doing a great job.
Thank
you. You really are.
Thank you.
The moment I met you, I was like, okay, she's it. And we love purses, and we love fashion, and we love traveling, and it just felt so like, I see why our daughters got together and became friends.
Because they're like us a little bit.
Because God was like, no, y'all need to meet.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys, that is Midday Chardonnay with Jeannelly Jay.